and it should dry clear.
The sea breeze has, that's going around.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get a little residue, like a circle around it. That just means it might be a little oxidized and old. And the reason we cap these up and we don't open them a lot is because anytime you open any of your perfume, natural perfumes, or just your essential oils that you have at home, you are oxidizing those things. So we don't want to do too much of it. But if an essential oil is old or if it's oxidized, it might leave a little ring. If you have citrus essential oils, those have to be refrigerated. And actually, tarragon has to be refrigerated also. And if you don't, they're going to get very stale. And they are going to oxidize, and it's not going to smell like lemongrass or bergamot anymore. It's going to
Smell steak.
Yeah, they smell. You don't think stale smells until you smell one of those.
That's true.
So sea breeze is a less fragrant blend. So if I really want to pull out a lot of rose and different things, or if I want to do an oil in a blend or a male blend and I don't want to be just real flowery, then the sea breeze could work. The vanilla works with florals, and it works great with tuberose. The sea breeze works with anything. Oak moss, frankincense we're putting in. Look at the difference. 35 drops of oak moss to only 12 drops of frankincense and 7 drops of sandalwood. I only use my Sori sandalwood. If anybody sells you West Indian sandalwood, it is not sandalwood. Sandalwood is East Indian, and the premier, the best one you can get is my Sori. One reason I put these three together also is because you get the frankincense and the sandalwood. So many people love those scents, but you're not using 35 drops of sandalwood that's costing you 30 or 60 bucks to buy, okay? So it's economical to do this, to choose a base that's going to allow you to have a fixative and put some of your favorites in here, and then not cost a lot of money. Now some people say, well, how do you know it's a low note? The volatility of essential oils, there's a thing on the internet that you can get. And sometimes some perfumers use different ones for base notes and different ones for high notes than you do, but they are all listed by the volatility. The reason these take so long to evaporate is because they have low volatility. All your fixative base notes are going to have low volatility, and most of them are going to be things like trees. So I really didn't bring a sheet that tells you which ones are base and which ones are whatever, but in general, the base notes either have very little scent like oak moss, or they are very scented and you use just a little bit like patchouli. Our next thing we're going to build is our heart note, and that's the body of the blend. That is the most important part. That's what you really want everybody to smell. And those are middle notes. They come right in the middle of your blend. We have our base notes, we're going to have middle notes or heart notes, and then we're going to have top notes. Okay? And the top notes, all they do is get your attention and give definition to the blend. It is amazing how that just changes everything. And the difference is your top notes are going to be your most volatile. You're going to smell those right away, but they go away pretty fast, kind of, too. You see what I mean? You don't, oh, lime. I mean, everybody smells lime, but if it's in a blend, you're going to smell lime first, and then you're going to smell the middle notes, and you can eventually smell the base notes, or you may not smell it a whole lot at all because it's blended now with your heart and your top notes. I call the middle ones heart notes because that's the heart of the perfume, okay, the body of it. That's what you want people to smell. Those are usually floral, and a lot of them are spicy, the spicy ones. And some people said, oh, I thought floral was top notes. No. You want to smell that, but that's not the top notes. Those are your heart notes. So when you're trying to figure out, well, is this a middle note? Well, if it's real floral, tuberose, rose, jasmine, all those kinds, those are your middle notes, okay? There's so much to this, it's hard for me to keep it to a little bit. I want to talk about a few other base notes, because the ones I'm giving you are going to be the most important ones. If you never use any others, it's okay. You can make one that smells like amber from lavender. I have a hard time saying that word. I'm going to refer to it as rock rose, okay? Rock rose, it is an absolute. The steam distilled smells horrible, but the absolute smells, it has amber scent. It's sweet, but it's not sicky sweet, and it's beautiful in blends, okay? And it blends well with patchouli and vanilla and sea breeze. It blends with so many different things. And you can just use that as a base note if you wanted to. Just use the labdanum, the rock rose. You could just use that as a base note. It's wonderful. What else? There's ones like vetiver, and we grow it here. It smells horrible. They smell horrible. Some of your base notes, even vanilla, and when it's in that its raw state, it doesn't smell very sweet. It doesn't smell like it usually does. It's when you make it into an absolute, it really smells good. So some of these, like vetiver, are wonderful base notes, and they add so much depth and beauty and scent to your blend, but they don't smell good by themselves. If you smell it by itself, you will never want to use it. But you take vetiver and you add it to lavender absolute, which is actually a green liquid, because your absolutes are liquid, but they're not thin and clear like most of your essential oils, then it makes a beautiful base. And it takes vetiver and it makes it into something very wonderful, almost a green mossy scent. Your absolutes are truer to the scent of the plant than a regular essential oil. Okay? Once you start smelling them, you'll see the difference. They have a lot of depth. And so people say, well, when I get to making this blend all together, how much fixative am I going to use? Maybe 10 drops, maybe 15, and that's in an ounce bottle. You're not going to use a whole lot. You don't need a whole lot. And it's going to hold your blend, and it's going to actually evolve and put some goodies into it where it smells better. So now we're going into top notes.
Are you going to top notes?
I'm sorry, no notes, part notes. So part notes, florals. Just think of jasmine and rose and tuberose and all those. They're wonderful smelling. Orange flower. Oh, I just made an orange flower. Absolutely. It's something like you've never smelled before. And it takes you to places in your brain you've never been before, and that's good because it gives you that olfactory memory, and it starts expanding and actually working on giving you more memory. And people working on their memory and people who have Alzheimer's and dementia, they are losing smell neurons. So this is a way to keep, just like exercising. You're using it, you're going to build it up. I'm going to give you a classic part note blend, okay? And it's going to be using rose, jasmine, and orange flower. A good base to use with it would be the vanilla base that we did. We could use 10 or 15 drops. You can always come back in your blend through that 2 or 3 weeks or even a month if you wait that long. You can wait up to a month. And add to it, say, this isn't going to where I want it to go. You know, no matter what we put in there, when it gets together and starts smelling, it's going to evolve into what it does. And it may not be exactly what we had in mind. You think, oh, I need a little bit more vanilla in this. So you could add a few more drops, okay? So you kind of build it as it goes along, but it's not a wham, bam, and I'm walking out the door with it. You have to let it blend, meld. With rose, we would use 8 to 10 drops of a rose absolute. I know these are expensive, and that's why I'm making my own absolutes, and I have been, but now I'm actually having them for sale so people can start building a collection of their perfumery type essential oils. You know how you buy a little bit each year or whatever. When you're using jasmine, I use the Grandiflora. I love Sambac, but it's a spicier one. It goes in oriental blends. Your Grandiflora jasmine goes in your floral blends really, really well. Goes with orange, goes with jasmine, goes with rose. Those three guys or girls really hang together. They're friends. And I'll tell you a little secret. When you're making a blend and you think, oh, this didn't come out the way I want, you can always add a drop of rose, a drop of jasmine, or a drop or two of orange flower, and you will bring out, or it will save your blend, okay? Because you don't want to throw it away. It's like, oh, I spent all this time and I spent money on this, and so those strengthen and empower a blend, okay? It makes it a little more bold, but it also makes it smell better if it's weak or you know, lacking some definition, okay? If you wanted a difference, I don't like vanilla, or I don't like vanilla with everything. So you could actually put a little tiny drop of patchouli in with this first blend, which is actually kind of a classic blend. And what a little tiny drop of patchouli will do is it will let the rose unfold like petals. You just smell layers and layers of rose. It's really wonderful. Make notes of your drops, if you like, so you can change it the way you change it. And I'm going to give you several of these. How much time have we got left?
15 minutes.
Pardon?
15.
15 minutes? I gotta hurry. And stay after school. You can stay after school. Yes. And you can write, I'll have these up here, don't walk off with them, but I wanted to introduce a few. Here's another classic, and it's clary sage, lavender absolute. Have you got that one there? Geranium. And ylang ylang extra. And if you're working in perfumery or essential oils, there's no reason to use anything other than ylang ylang extra. The stuff I've smelled on the market is horrible. So again, you want to get the best you can get. Okay, it should smell where you just tiny bits of ylang ylang. And this stuff is expensive, maybe, but you don't ever use much of it. And you know, when you have an ounce of perfume, it lasts a long time. You put a little bit of that on, or you smell it, it will release endorphins your body hasn't released before. And you know what happens? That heals the body. So it's not just about giving somebody to pay for dinner. It's about getting your body to get healthier.
Your endorphins.
Let me just give these out and take around champaca and tuberose for them to smell. Okay. The next one is going to have the real exotic florals in it, and they're expensive. Yes, they are. Tuberose, we're going to use 3 drops. Champaca, Champaca, is 5 drops. You've used 2 drops of the jasmine grandiflora. You can put a few drops of neroli in here. Neroli is a wonderful essential oil that is made from orange flowers. The orange absolute flower, absolute I make, is made from orange flowers also, but it smells very different. And with neroli, you have to put it where it's not overwhelmed by anything else. So it's a light scent. It's wonderful. Champaca smells like apricot flowers with cocoa undertones. That's why they call them the exotics. It is wonderful. It is one of the most expensive ones, but again, I'm making these so they can be more affordable, okay, for people who want to get into this. If you really want to get into perfumery, it takes years, but you build an arsenal of scent that you can use. You can make perfumes with rosemary, thyme, and but it's not going to smell the same, okay? But you can use herbals. And you can always use spices, and spices are very inexpensive in essential oils, compared to tuberose. On that last blend, tuberose goes real well with vanilla, so we could use our very vanilla base. These are scents you will never smell again. Tuberose smells like nothing you've ever smelled, okay? And champaca, the same thing. And although you may feel like, that's familiar, but you'll never find anything like it. Another one that is an exotic that I wanted to give y'all, and she's going to pass around some blotters so you can kind of get an idea. And we brought extra blotters today. If y'all want to take any home to try out. What happens with the blotter, if you want to find out the dry out of a note, that is when, if we put lavender absolute on there, it'd be drying out over a period of a day or more, okay? And if you went back every few hours and smelled it, it would change its smell. But the dry out note is what it ends up with. And so you will see how that evolves in a blend and how it's going to come out. Yeah. Somebody get ready to catch her. She's going to fall over. Another one that is wonderful, do we have osmanthus? Osmanthus fragrance is from the sweet olive tree. It grows here. It is the most expensive perfumery. I looked at Absolutes and they wanted hundreds of dollars for a little bottle. You know, I made some for $90. At least it's affordable comparatively. Okay. And then you want, with that kind of, you don't need anything else. That's a perfume in itself. But if you want to put it in a blend, you want to accent it with something like, it's a very floral scent, so you use like orange flower or some, fragrant. You could use Litzia. Let me tell you about Litzia. People use the lemongrass and such. Lemongrass is not going to hold very well in a perfume, and it smells like pledge in a perfume, okay? If you're making an herbal one, it's okay. It'll be okay. But if you're making a high-quality perfume, you want to use Litzia. It's Litsia, and then it's Cubeba, Cubeba. Everybody refers to it as Litzia. It is mei chang. It is a Chinese flower, and it has a light lemony scent, but it smells floral. It doesn't smell like pledge, okay? So you can always use a few drops of that in the body of your blend to really kind of support and bring out some fragrance then. I want to go to top notes. We got 10 minutes. And again, I will be here until we close. And then you have my numbers. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Top notes are usually citrus. Very often they're citrus. So we all like citrus, and it's a familiar thing. What you do with top notes is you define your blend, and you get somebody's attention. That's what it's for. Oh, you ever smell the citrus? Wow. So you stick around and you start smelling everything else. But the first thing that somebody's going to smell off of the blend is a top note. If you have any qualms, use bergamot. It's relatively inexpensive. It's really not that expensive. And it's almost everybody likes it. If somebody doesn't like bergamot, there's probably something going on in their neurons that needs to change. So put it in there anyway. You can make a cord, like we made a cord, 3 or 4 different or similar top notes or heart notes. You can do this with top notes. And what's nice is you can use something like the 4 oranges. There's blood orange, which is a full body orange. There's sweet orange. There's the orange flower. You have bitter orange, which is really good in strong blends, strong smelling blends like orientals and those kinds. Oh, it's different. It does have almost a bitter scent to it, but it's really good. You just use a drop. You could use tangerine or petitgrain. Petitgrain is the leaves and twigs, and it's not so sweet smelling, but you could put all those together, and that could be your top note. Or you could use any one of those if you just wanted to use one, or you just had one. That's all I've got in my repertoire. If you wanted to use an herbal one, and we are herbalists, spearmint is excellent. It's an excellent top note. And it is better, like patchouli, if it's aged at least a year or longer. So I buy spearmint or make my spearmint, and I've got it put aside for a year before I even go into it. Same thing with patchouli, which is quite the stinker. Spearmint goes good with pink grapefruit. Don't bother buying any other kind of grapefruit. Okay, there is grapefruit essential oil, don't buy it. Only buy pink grapefruit oil for these kind of blends. You could put bergamot, because it's a standard, or you could put lime in there. Lime is wonderful. If you want something spicy as a top note, you could put cardamom, ginger, nutmeg. Those go great together. And top notes, you can put as much as you want in there, but usually 10 drops of the top note is all you need. You want maybe a little bit more of your heart note, okay? Because that's what you want to smell the longest. Coriander is a good top note, and it's spicy and it's more male-like. But you know, we need to kind of balance out the real female and the real male. When you get into this a lot, if you just like florals and vanillas, you're going to change. You're going to like ginger and patchouli and things you didn't ever try before. And ginger root is a top note. You can use woody kind. There is Cabruva, which is very inexpensive, and it has a deep woody scent. It's deep. You dose it with a little dropper. You could use cedarwood, cypress. You could put any of these together. Rosewood is a very sweet top note, and it is a wood, and it does smell a little bit like rose. And if you have a rose body or real oriental male type thing, that can really add another touch to it. Pomarosa is another one that's really good, and it's a wood. So you can make them by how they smell, or a family of citrus, or oranges, or woody, or herbals. I don't use eucalyptus. I don't use thyme or peppermint. In a blend. It's not in a perfume. Okay, use those for decongestants and pain, and more medicinal things that we use herbals for. Questions?
About how many drops of the heart notes usually?
Up to 30. We're going to use between 15 and 30. I didn't think you were paying that much attention. Yes, sir?
Going back, I know you're almost out of time, but you mentioned working with patients. What do you do with perfume with patients? Is it for people?
I release endorphins. I work with hospice. The thing you want to do when somebody's in pain and dying, passing to the next level, is you want to get them in the best space that you can.
Do you put on is it on the pillow, or you mean family members?
It depends. It depends. We either put it on them, we let them smell it. We can put it on their pillowcase, on their clothes. Depends on liability and the permission of the patient or the family. And when my mom left, I knew her repertoire, and I had it all there. And she was unconscious for days until I put that stuff in. Every time I put that stuff on there, she'd raise her eyebrows, and that was always her go-ahead signal. So she was unconscious, but she was conscious enough to smell that and get some benefit from it. And the last thing, we're not going to eat, we're not going to eat, but the last thing we can do is smell something or hear beautiful music. I think it's great. If I'm getting well, beautiful music, beautiful scents are going to help me get that way. When you release endorphins, which is what these high floral notes and such do in a perfume, and the whole reason to have a natural perfume, you will heal your body in ways you have not healed it before. When we put My Stop Hurting, or one of my medicinals on, or one of the other people in here that make those kind of products, it goes and it increases circulation, and it does change brain chemistry, but nothing like these kind of perfumes will actually build new neurons, build new brain tissue, and get endorphins going that can heal anything that is considered impossible to heal. And they are very balancing to the immune, the endocrine, and the neurological system. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any organic pheromones? Or is that